Also in your packet, you should have received from me a memo regarding the impact operations of the library until a new director is on board, if there are any questions about that. Obviously, with this development, I'll be running them by Michael and making sure that this is,
I
as
don't
he
have
sees.
any, I don't have anything from the library.
No, sir, you should. After, on page 79
Hang on.
of your packet,
79. Yeah, from Katie.
it's a memo,
Hang on just a second, Mike, let me get to page 79 here.
if you hit the bookmark, Commissioner, I have it under Library Advisory Board.
It's just showing that this thing. This just showing where they postponing
Yeah, it's just kind of a detail of what, now that we're down a staff member until the director position is filled, what we expect the changes, mostly at the East Point Library. I don't expect changes at the operations of Carabel to be impacted too much, what they will be. However, like I said, we'll obviously be running this through Michael to see if this is how, if he agrees with.
Okay.
showing the music in the second language.
Mhm.
He's reviewing it now.
That's-
It didn't update him. Apologize.
Well, I have a minute, then the advisory board would really like to compliment the Friends of the Library Organization. Adele Colston is here today. They ran an extremely successful fundraiser this weekend at the Red Pirate, the Putt Masters. The Friends organization is a vital part of supporting both of our county libraries, and I just wanted to congratulate them on what a great job they did.
Mr. Chairman, that was a great event, and I think they've been doing it for several years, and a lot of fun and a worthwhile project.
I guess I didn't know anything about the fundraiser. First I've heard of it, or may have attended. Anyway,
not alone.
I don't have any questions on that.
All right, go. All right, thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Bid opening.
This is on Darrell Best, we only have one bid and consistent Mark's doctor point, but consistent with FWC requirements for the grant, the Darrell Vessel grant that we're applying for, we have to submit a list of cost per vessel. So we went out for a bid list and then only one applied, which is beneficial for us now, so we have a known fact. And so we'll turn this into FWC and just a minute we'll find out whether it's, there's only so much money available, so we'll see how far down the list we can go.
Alan, while we're waiting on that, we got one boat out to the east, that sailboat
Okay?
that I reported to y'all, and according to Mark and Michael, they said that the FWC was working on the people to try to get it out of there,
Okay.
and it's still there.
They trying to get it up, get across that grass bed. It's laid over into the
Laid over
pine
to the
tree,
side.
and they trying to get it where they can come out that channel over into the grass bed.
Are they gonna get it out there?
Yeah, they gonna get it. Charlie said they are.
Okay.
Yeah, the risk is if FWC knows who the owner is, then it does not get on the Darrell Vessel list. You know, it's a
They don't
hazard
need-
and a risk to mariners and the environment. If they know the owner, it doesn't get on the Darrell Vessel list. Darrell Vessel is only for boats that do not have a known owner.
I think he has to, the process of giving the boat, somehow to sign it over where it's a derelict vessel before they can get it off.
Right.
Get it out of his name, then it puts the salvage, then the salvage people can come and salvage it and get it off and keep it, because it's a nice sailboat. I walked down there and looked at it, it's a nice sailboat, it's about 40 foot long.
Well, I will say, I take back what I just said. So
Yeah,
we have,
very nice.
we have 18 Darrell vessels and 4 that are, 4 that are pending. And some of those pending might be, in fact, says sunk against the downstream. All right, so here's a pending, meaning they're trying to get on the Darrell vessel. It's sunk on the downstream side of the southern support of the Tillanoa Bridge. Is that the sailboat?
Yeah, I know, no, this is out
Mhm,
at,
this is-
At the dock,
This
or
is
the next one is
Summerton.
dock at 305 Marine Street. There are
That's
two
in
sunk at
Carabel.
the dock,
Where at?
305 Marine Street in Carabel.
Yeah,
That's
that's,
that shrimp
that's
boat.
that big shrimp boat.
Okay.
It's all in the water. They said it was tied to the dock, so it couldn't be a derelict vessel.
Well, they're pending trying to make them, there are two
Yeah.
there, then the one on the Tilly Miller Bridge, then one on the 2-mile channel, approximately 300 feet west of Steamers Antonio's. There's that one, those are the ones that are pending, so.
The sailboat's not pending,
The sailboat is not pending.
and it's in the middle of grass, a seagrass bed.
Alan, when you go back to, going back out towards Lanark, when you come by Burger, what is that, the condo, bungalow by the bay, whenever you go around that curve, just start going down and look over to your right, and you'll see it in the bushes. It's
Okay.
leaned up against, the sails is leaned up into the
Huh.
pine tree.
Okay, we'll ask FWC.
Been there for 2 months.
Yeah, they trying to get it, or said they was yesterday, what she
Well,
told
I'll give you
me.
the bad news, for the approximately 20 vessels, the 16 or so derelict vessels of the 4 pending, the total bid is $438,208, plus another 18,000 something else, so to do my math, it's something $456,206 is the total, $456,206, and that is hundreds of thousands of dollars above what we're gonna get out of the FWC. There's only $1 million available statewide.
Yeah.
So we will get as many of these vessels as possible, but I can tell you we won't get them all.
Now, Commissioner Parrish raised a good, valid concern yesterday, and I talked to Mark about it, Commissioner, and it was about disposing of this stuff at our landfill. And basically, Mark said, if it cannot be disposed of at our landfill, then it will be transferred. What we don't know yet, Commissioner, is the cost. That's what we have to figure out, you know.
So this bid doesn't include disposal costs?
Buck didn't act like it did. So, I mean, it goes to our landfill, it goes over the scales.
Right.
What happens after that is where the question is, what Commissioner Parrish, concern he raised yesterday, because number one, we have to do what's legal. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but, and then from there, I won't make it sound like that was in doubt, I'm sorry, Commissioner. But, you know, the cost to get it over, if it goes to Bay County or wherever it goes, you know, I know, bad choice of words.
You know, I was telling Michael, a lot of these derelict vessels, the wood is saturated in diesel
Diesel,
fuel
whatever,
and
yes.
oil, and I have a concern of putting that in our landfill.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we might
because-
not be allowed to do that, Commissioner.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, and I wanna make sure that, you know, it's expensive, but if you're gonna dispose of some of this stuff, and some of it I consider to be hazardous waste, then it needs to be disposed of properly. Because if not, we come back years later and it's gonna be a liability for the county and the taxpayer.
Right.
If it starts penetrating groundwater and those types of issues, I don't wanna be involved in that. I think, you know, and, you know, I've also said early on that I knew that this FWC, this little grant they're gonna give us, is not gonna take care of this environmental problem, which is why I referred to it at our meeting with Dewberry, that we try to have some of these derelict, clean our environment up. Some of this money is allocated to nothing but environment. To me, that's part of the environment. When you got things out there contaminating, polluting the environment, we need to clean this stuff up, but we need to do it the right way.
Yes, and so.
So I'm like Alan, I know that all the derelict vessels are not gonna be handled by FWC, and it's not gonna be handled by the Coast Guard. It's gonna fall back on us to try to clean up our waterways, which is improving the environment. And some of these funds that we're gonna be receiving in the near future, some of it's allocated for nothing but environmental issues. So let's clean up our environment and clean up our waterways while we have the ability to do so.
Exactly, in Carabel, like you said, it's so saturated with diesel and it's fire
Right.
blast on the outside, and it's just,
So when we, you know, I don't know what we're gonna do on this FWC stuff, but as we move forward, we need to look at disposal costs, and I know there's gonna be a cost associated with that, but it's the right thing to do, is have the things removed and disposed of properly.
Sure.
So that might cut into our funding even more.
It might, yeah. I mean, you know, some of these are, you know, for removing a 40-foot boat, $19,000. Some of these, there's pretty high costs here, so I don't know if they did anticipate some disposal costs, I just don't know.
And that's what we'll have to check, and I'll report back to the board.
So all we got was a bid on total cost.
Total cost.
We don't have a breakdown of exactly what those costs.
Well, they have a breakdown per vessel, but I don't know if that includes disposal costs or not.
What I'll do, I'll make copies of this and email it to you.
Okay, how do we wanna handle this?
Well, I would say,
It basically-
motion to accept the bid of $456,206 is the total amount, $456,206, and then turn over to Mark Farrington to submit with the FWC.
That's part of the grant.
I make
yeah.
a motion to do that.
Second.
I have a motion second on the floor, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Is this the complete list of the derelict vessels?
Yes, this is there.
That we've identified?
No, we don't identify all, FWC does this. You have to be on the FWC list in order, FWC maintains the derelict vessel list in Franklin County.
Okay.
There are other boats, such as the sailboat you're talking about, that are not on this list because the FWC feels it's not derelict. There's a known owner, and they're going after the owner to either remove the boat or abandon the boat through a legal process, and then FWC will put it on the list. But if you own a boat that's sunk and there's a FL number on the side of the boat, it's your responsibility.
Now, all these, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
all these can be lifted by going to the landfill. What happens if you have to have a,
Well, that's what we're just talking about. We don't know yet.
what happens if you have to have a boat to transfer one to Panama City or to hazardous place?
Well, we don't know yet, and so we don't know whether this,
Question.
this disposal cost include, it may be that FWC has already made an assessment, that yes, this boat is not a hazard, or not environmental hazard, yes, there's no oil there, yes, it is. I mean, I don't know, because these costs range from a low of $5,000 for a 40-foot boat to a high of $43,000 for a 50-foot boat. Well, 10 more feet of boat may not, shouldn't cost $40,000, so maybe that they've already made an assessment, that some of these boats are really cheap, they're just wooden hulls, there's no environmental damage, it goes to landfill, $43,000 boat, no, it's gotta be taken somewhere else. So there may already be an assessment in there that I just don't know.
Now, does that list include the boats up the river and all that, or does that just include the boats that run on the coast?
Briefly, so here's one 2 mile channel, 2 mile channel, 2 mile channel, Scipio Creek, Scipio Creek, Scipio Creek, Scipio Creek, Scipio Creek, East Pass, Shoreline, Plantation, Dove Lane, on the south bank of the Jackson River, approximately 2,500 feet upstream from Pinhook, so there's one there. East River, Owl Creek at Rice Landing, middle of Apalachicola Bay, so there are a couple up the river.
Okay.
Middle of Apalachicola Bay.
In the middle of Apalachicola Bay, South Intercoastal Waterway, $31,000. This is that steel hull that's sitting out there, you can see it on the bridge. There's someone dragged out there just recently, someone dragged out there about 3 years ago.
Right out here?
Yeah, it's out there off the high, you can see it off the high hump. And it's not, and I know, it's nothing but an empty steel hull that someone's trying to, make their own artificial reef, and it got away from them in the middle of the night and ended up on the sand hole.
Well, I'll do, Commissioner, I'm gonna,
Disappeared a couple, 2 years ago.
Right.
while Alan moves on, because he's the next item, I'll make copies for the board.
Okay.
Well, actually, Stella's next.
Yeah, Stella's next. Stella Dewberry?
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Did bring Brian Griffith with me today, so he is also available here to answer any questions you may have. Going to keep it pretty brief this morning. I appreciate being here. I was here a couple of weeks ago, and at that meeting, we talked about sort of the process for developing the multi-year plan, and I told you that we would go ahead and prepare a draft community needs assessment. So we have prepared that draft. I sent it to Alan in an email, an electronic version, but I do have copies here for everybody.
Should be on your iPad, Michael, should have attached it for
So 2 documents. One is actually a complete database listing of all of the projects that are in the state portal, and these are not just projects that the county has submitted. These are this is a comprehensive list of projects that the county, the cities, and pretty much anybody in the county submitted. So when it says Franklin County, that just means somebody in Franklin County submitted it. It's not necessarily an official submittal of a city or a county. So this is a comprehensive listing of all of those projects. And we're currently kind of categorizing these for you, and we did a little preliminary, and it looks like about 65% of these are environmental projects, about 15% are infrastructure projects, and the rest are in a different category. But we can get those summaries to you pretty quick here. The other document we have is the draft community needs assessment, and this is meant to be a standalone document if you ever want to use it for, any other pots of restore or anything else that you may want to use the information for. But really the purpose of developing this is to inform the multi-year plan. We will use this information in the introduction of the multi-year plan, and it begins to build the basis and the justification for your selection criteria, which is a requirement in the Restore Act of how you explain how you chose projects. It requires you to explain the criteria you use to choose projects. So this is what this does. More or less, this is meant to put on paper a summary synthesis of what all has been discussed and what your priorities are in terms of the next year. And again, draft, so we can still add to this, modify this, delete this. And our plan after this meeting, getting you all's input, is to go to the Restore Advisory Committee meeting on October 18th and get some input from them as well. So other than that, I am here to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Stella, on the state projects down here, if you'll go down to number, hold on just a minute, this writing's so little. 1226, where it talks about the renourishment, beach renourishment. Now, you have to understand that this is state projects, it's not local projects. Back a few years ago, Alligator Point took a vote for beach renourishment, and they voted it down. And I want that to go on record that this is not a Franklin County project, but it is a state project. So therefore, if the people of Alligator Point are still opposing it, they need to oppose it to the state and not the county commission. See what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yes, I'm on project 1226, and I'm trying to figure out who actually submitted this. It
Well,
says,
I submitted it for everything at the time. I mean, I could only do one project, so I covered all the
Did
beaches.
you do that?
I did. I had to list everything.
Yeah, but
all
we
the beaches.
know,
Yeah, so I
but
can
it's
say
state
that, yeah.
project. But you did that.
But not because,
I know.
I had to do one beach renourishment for the county.
But I want it to be known that
Yeah.
Alligator Point has taken a vote on beach renourishment. I've gotten 3 emails in the past 2
Well,
days.
I can only do one portal for all the beaches in Franklin County, so I did a generic beach renourishment.
oh, I see. So this includes all of them,
All of
including
them.
Alligator Point. I see.
Everything.
See, that's what I'm saying, 4 is number 4.
If there are any modifications or updates that you want to make to any of these project descriptions, you can go online to the portal and make
But
those
I just wanted to go
updates.
on record,
Okay.
because we happen to have a Ball Point resident here, and there's gonna be a taxpayers meeting on Saturday. I don't want any of the people coming on here and saying Cheryl Sanders has submitted that, and I've lied to them.
No, I did it for all the county, and I listed everything in the county. I mean, it's not, I have no idea, at the time Cheryl, this was done almost 3 years ago.
Yep.
I was trying to list everything possible, because I didn't know who was gonna get funded.
No problem, but I just wanna go on record.
Understand.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether this the right place, the right time, but I know they submitting all these projects, and a lot of them have to do with the bay. And I want the bay to work, I want it to work fine. But I do wanna find out, they've been doing a lot of studies of the bay. Have they gave us any answer of what's causing the bay to?
Well, Commissioner, the general answer is lack of fresh water. It's just causing the bay not to be productive. But I mean, there may be other issues. I know one of the issues that you're getting at is why isn't the spat, why don't we have better spat, success rates? Because they're using all kind of different material. They're still testing, does granite chips work better than lime rock versus oyster shells, all that kind of stuff. I don't know the result of that yet, but the general answer is if there's not enough fresh water, it doesn't matter. The spat's not gonna live.
So they spend all that money and we were telling them that.
That's my interpretation. I'll defer to Commissioner Perry.
I missed some of them trying to go through these projects. What are you talking about, lack
What's
of
the
fresh
overall
water
reason for
flow?
the bay- What's the basic reason for the bay's decline? I'm saying-
There's a lot of people got a lot of different opinions on that.
That's what I think.
I think it's all attributed, a great bunch of it is attributed to the lack of fresh water flow. A lot, other people will say dispersant, other people will say over harvesting, everybody's got their opinion, but the way the west part of the bay is completely died off, there's no shell down there, there's no oysters down there. reason you have some ability over here is you got East River, you got Little St. Mark's, Big St. Mark's that are providing flows from east of the Apalachicola River back towards East Point. So you're getting a few oysters over on Cat Point and those types of areas, but they're getting freshwater flows. The western end of the bay is getting no freshwater flows, and I think that's why you're seeing such a decline down there. Conchs are down there real bad, drill conchs, which go in and they can destroy an oyster bar real in a big hurry, and there won't be nothing left but shell. And a lot of the shells are saying are starting to crumble. There's not many shells left down there at all. A lot of that salt water, year after year after year, salinity is too high, too much salt water down there. No mixture of fresh water coming down, which creates a salinity balance that you need to raise oysters. So, in my opinion, a lot of it has to do with freshwater flows. But other people say dispersant, other people say this, other people say that. The state's done tests, and several people have done tests, and it says they don't find any dispersant. You know, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with our freshwater flows, and we're not getting the flows we need. Right now, I think this morning the river is at 0.66. 0.66. And when I grew up here as a youngster and been here my whole life, the normal average flows coming down the river or the feet in the river was like 7 foot. That was a low river reading, 7 foot. Today we're at 0.66, which is less than 1 foot of at the river reading. So I think that's greatly exacerbated the problem that we have here. And I don't know if it's going to get any better. You know, we got the magistrate that's been appointed by the Supreme Court. His hearing starts on October 31st in Portland, Maine. It was supposed to happen in Washington, D.C. Now they moved it to Portland, Maine, which is where this magistrate's from, which is why Georgia's run down and did a bunch of subpoenas, which I was one of them, and a whole bunch of other people in the community's been subpoenaed. A lot of state officials been subpoenaed. Thousands of documents that's been archived here in Franklin County relating to this issue has been subpoenaed. Georgia's never subpoenaed all those documents or the people of Franklin County. So it tells me that they're kind of worried about where the magistrate's going to go and when he makes his recommendation to the full Supreme Court. And if we lose that Supreme Court case, I hate to say this, but you're pretty much done. You'll get even less water down the river. And you got to have the fresh water to balance out and get the salinity balance right to keep moving forward with our seafood industry. So it's devastating to the people that make their living out there. It's devastating to our oyster resource. If you lose your oyster resource in Apalachicola Bay, you're going to lose everything else to go with it. Your shrimp, your crab, your redfish, your flounder, because those oysters are a filter, and they filter all the contaminants out of the fresh water coming out of Georgia, all the phosphates, nitrates coming out of fertilizers off the Georgia farms that eventually end up in the river and end up in our bay. Without the oysters there to filter that, and oysters are being planted all over the world for water quality, we're going to have a devastating effect on Apalachicola Bay. So I don't know what the real answer is, Commissioner Lockley, but it's not looking real good, and it's looking even worse if we lose the Supreme Court case.
Thank you.
You said Maine?
That's where the hearing is going to be held. There are some people from Franklin County that's been subpoenaed to go up there and testify in front of the special magistrate.
Have you?
No, ma'am.
Well, you need to go.
Tommy Ward has been subpoenaed because all of his oyster leases have died down here. There's a lack of fresh water, so he's been subpoenaed to go. And other people have been subpoenaed to go. I've spoken with the attorney there, and we have contemplated coming back to the board and asking them to allow us to travel to be able to attend a couple of days of these hearings up there, to put an Apalachicola face there, to do some networking with some of the other partners we have in Alabama. So we're looking at that. I'm not ready to come back and recommend a date or ask the board for travel for me and the attorney to go up there and participate. I know Pat Floyd is going some days for the city of Apalachicola. I think it would be a good thing for some people from Franklin County, elected official and county attorney, to attend a day or so, you know, just to let them know that we're concerned enough to travel, and we won't be allowed to testify. I mean, I'm going to go and tell you up front, but it's just being there, supporting the state of Florida. The state of Florida knows we're there, and try to, you know, do some networking You know, if we can get to talk to the right people, maybe we can put a bug in some different people's ear, but I'm not ready to move forward with that. But if we lose this Supreme Court case, our baby is going to be in bad shape. And we can't go no higher than the Supreme Court. So folks, what I'm trying to tell you is we got one shot, one bite at this apple, and if we're not successful there, then we're gonna have to move forward and try to generate some jobs for the people of Franklin County, because I just don't see the oyster industry. There'll always be oysters, but will it be a viable resource? Will it be a viable way for people to make money and support their families? I've got a real concern about that.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, good morning. It's good to be here with you today. I just have a couple of comments I wanted to make about the presentation here of the draft needs assessment, because this, I think, sometimes gets lost in the translation of the empowerment that you as a board have and the processes that led up to this. You noticed a minute ago, it was noted that at a time and space, back sometime whenever that was, when the state portal was opened and you had to get projects in within a certain time, therein came the generalization of beach renourishment for the county. Just use that as an illustration. The illustration is much bigger than that. The state, all of the 5 Gulf states did pretty much the same thing. They offered, frankly, an idea bank in terms of project portals. Point being, there's a lot of people that have a lot of ideas how to spend your money. And they will simply drop them in. That all predated, and still does in the case of the evolution of this, that predated you having a direct eye on what it is you most need to do. It's interesting to have a project pool, which you do have, to begin to look and see if they don't get tailored a bit, if the best ones rise to the top in the end. But at the first juncture in this, you are actually creating a blueprint that establishes a framework by which you are, you're in agreement, but you're letting yourselves know what are the most important action areas in the county to address a lot of different things, a lot of different needs. And on top of that, as you go forward, and Commissioner Parrish, I would agree with you, a county like this would have to look very, 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 very carefully at allocating resources, these limited resources, into some of the science or policy areas for which the other agencies are spending a hell of a lot of money doing. And certainly under the court battles on the ACF, we'll spend a lot more. You would barely be a ripple in the water, no pun intended, but ultimately you'd have to really ask yourself, what is the effect of that for the county? As you come in, so this little seemingly paper drill is incredibly powerful, because it is actually being sponsored by your work, if you will, for getting ready for having this network approach to being able to have with integrity a reason why you would submit any projects ultimately to your Restore account and draw down those monies and execute them. It does much more than that, because as you know, of course, we're going to have one way or another, we're going to have a new set of government leaders here after the fall. That's the cycle of time for these administrations. The administration starts up again, and all of those resource and regulatory agencies, they're going to have new programs, and they're going to look to places to effectively place their monies on communities that know where they are going, what it is that is most troubling to them, and what areas of need they have identified could make that money work best. So you're going to see this work extremely well, I'm sure of that, to help guide your decisions, and that's very important, your decisions, ultimately where you place your money, but it's also going to draft or attract other monies, because the reality is you don't have enough money in the Restore allocation to solve all of your problems by any stretch of the imagination. But you're going to make a great start, and this process will actually give you a roadmap to carry that on well beyond the boundaries of just the Restore allocation. So I think sometimes people really get kind of wrapped around the axle on these incredibly long project lists that have been pre-prepared, and they are an excellent reference resource, but one would have to guess they haven't exactly been pre-designed to establish a run at exactly your problem. the highest priority problems that you have in the county at that point in time. And as the process matures, you'll see that. Obviously, a project will become very real when you attach that project or those projects to get to this end point for that particular problem in the county. Those projects are going to be tailored. They're certainly not going to look anything like the short abstracts that went into the state portal. So it really is a reason and a value of significant value to the county, and I have every expectation it will live long past the restore structure. So I just wanted to tell you that.